Good afternoon. I'm Jonathan Barsaid. I'm president of the America-Israel Friendship League. Thank you for joining us today. This online webinar is provided to you by the America-Israel Friendship League in partnership with the IDF, the Israel Defense Force, and FIDF, the Friends of Israel Defense Force. This is the first of a series of webinars that we will be offering in the future together with the IDF spokesman in order to better understand some of the less familiar issues that face the IDF. As we start this session, I would like to ask that you let us know in the chat where you are joining us from. Please write to us. We always like to see these. And also, one answer to a recurring question is that yes, we will be posting a recording of the session for your continued education, information, and enjoyment, and for sharing with others. And if you have any questions, please feel free to write those in the chat. Time permitting, we will bring those up to the panel to be addressed. The IDF is well known for its innovative approaches to challenges. Military challenges are usually the first that come to mind in this regard. But it has also made a name for itself throughout the years, not just in Israel, but for many social related challenges that were overcome, where the connection to the military was using knowledge and know-how that was uniquely in its domain. Applying its field medical know-how to provide first responder assistance to disasters around the world is just one example. COVID-19 has been recently just another example. The need to bring to bear logistics know-how for effective resource distribution and research capabilities to support reliable but highly fast technical solutions simply to save lives. These are just some of the capabilities that the IDF has brought to the COVID-19 front lines. With us today is Major Liad Diamond, New York born but raised in Israel. Liad is a member of the IDF spokesperson department, head of the public diplomacy group. He will be talking to us about these efforts and the role that the IDF is taking in supporting the battle against COVID-19. I am sure that you'll find this presentation educational and illuminating. But before we turn to Liad, with us today also is Major General Cliffy Amir, National Director and CEO of Friends of the IDF. Over the course of a distinguished 33-year career in the IDF, Major General had many positions of leadership and command. And over the last 6 years in his civilian life, he's led the US organization through a major transformation. Major General Khalifi will give us a brief introduction.
Hello, everyone. Hope that all of you are doing well and staying safe in this challenging reality that we are facing. It's a real honor and pleasure to be here with you talking about the IDF role in the COVID-19. I can say that in this challenging time, the IDF soldiers, as you know, they continue to protect Israel border on land, air, and sea. They can't have any break, not for a day, not for an hour, and not for a minute. They must stay alert with full readiness to maintain any escalation or emergency situation to come, like what happened yesterday in the northern border of Lebanon. So in one hand, they need to take care about the security field, but in the same time, they were fighting the coronavirus and supporting the country and her Israeli citizens. As you may know, the IDF is very, I can say, capable with huge experience to support civilians in many fields, in Israel, as you know, also outside of Israel. The IDF is the biggest organization and the best organized one in Israel to face those kind of challenges in, I can say, very effective efforts. The IDF, through the Home Front Command, took extensive action in various fields supporting the government agencies, the MDA, Magen David Adom, and the civilian authorities in order to prevent and reduce the spread of the virus. Just today, I heard that in Israel, the one that was appointed to be responsible to deal with the COVID-19, he announced that the IDF will take, I can say, a big part of this fight against this virus. I can tell you that the Israeli soldiers help assist elderly, Holocaust survivor, and disabled population. The IDF also took responsibility for dealing with the most, I can say, problematic areas where mass spread of the virus infected, I can say, a large part of the population. If I can talk about, I can say, the technological and innovational fields, I can say, and I know it firsthand, it's not easy, but the IDF is the most capable organization to face unexpected challenges by being creative, thinking out of the box, and providing all what it's need. And it, in very, I can say, short time, innovative response and solution, and making a significant contribution to the fight against the COVID-19. I can tell you that the IDF converted military manufacturing efforts and technological development to the production and development of medical equipments. And I can say technological solution to face the COVID-19. And I can tell you that as a military, we are sharing it with all the other militaries around the world. We are not keeping anything only for us. When we have something new, we are sharing it with everyone that want to use it and believe that he can improve things in his country regarding to this pandemic. I can tell you that we as the FIDF, we are a non-profit organization that taking care about the well-being of the Israeli soldiers. We are raising money for their education, construction, taking care about the lone soldiers, dealing with, I can say, fallen families. We are raising more than $100 million a year, and all the money go to those needs of the IDF to support those brave men and women that put their life day by day, 24/7, to protect the state of Israel, and by that, to protect also all of us. I want to say that with everything going on in the world, we must stay optimistic. The humanity history, specifically ours as a Jewish people, knew crises, disasters, and challenges. And we always knew how to face them, to prevail, and to get together. And I want to tell you something else. I want to say a big thanks to Joshua, to Wayne, and to all your team that are dealing with the relationship and the partnership with our best ally, the great United States of America. And I can say that in my experience, also working with the two last prime ministers in Israel, it's one of the most important things for our security and prosperity, if I'm talking about Israel, but also if I'm talking about the United States. And because of that, we must stand together as a one. Our bond must be unbreakable. Only by that, we can face and win the global challenges of anti-Semitic and more that we are facing now. You are doing a great job. As I said before, one of the most important in that time, always, but in that time specifically. And I want to thank you all and to wish you a good health, all the best, and much success in your important work. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for those for those kind words. And before we turn over to Liad, though, I would like to just really mention, thank you very much for sharing in the chat where you're from. Indeed, we've got people from all over the United States, from New York, Florida, Tampa, Pennsylvania, California, and also from Israel. But this is also truly an international based webinar with people basically. Also, we have people joining us from Sweden, from Mexico, and we've got also our loyal viewer from joining us from Kuwait. So it's really getting across the board to many different countries. But now, as we go forward, I would like to turn over our virtual stage to Major Liad. It's all yours.
Great, thank you. So first of all, thank you, Commander. Major General Khalifi was also my commander when I was younger. So first of all, it's an honor to speak right after you, sir. And of course, I'd like to thank everybody here, especially Josh and of course the team for having me. I'll say again another good evening from the IDF spokesperson's headquarters in Tel Aviv. We're situated right now here with everything that's going on, and I think it'd be great to share with you what are we doing, as in the IDF is doing today in the COVID-19 field. I'm going to share the screen with you so we could all get onto the same target. So just a second. So the IDF, just like the rest of the world, somewhere at the end of February, we've started to see more and more cases of this COVID-19. At the beginning, nobody really knew what it's all about, what does it do, how does it affect, and etc. As you can see here, I brought to you this evening the actual statistics of right now that's going on in Israel. This is the civilian side of the numbers. We have more than 66,000 confirmed cases of the coronavirus. More than 32,000 have been healed by this virus, and we have 490 people who have deceased during this pandemic. These numbers are from the end of February and actually till 3 o'clock this afternoon. These are the correct numbers of the IDF currently. What is going on now? This is also these are accurate numbers to yesterday, to last night. We have 595 confirmed cases of the COVID-19. These are soldiers and also career and also civilians who work within the IDF that have been affected by the coronavirus. Thankfully, we have no one deceased due to the coronavirus, and we have nearly 6,000 people or 6,000 soldiers that are currently in quarantine at different locations, and we'll get to that in just a moment. This is part of what we have done. So these are the correct statistics. So if we go a little bit back, we'll go back to somewhere at the end of February where this virus started to affect us, and we had to study fast and learn quickly what to do and how to do it. And we were approached by, of course, the government, and they said, what can you do in order to assist? And we, first of all, we went and we started to learn as much as we can, and we learned, and we're still learning as we're moving on, practically just like it goes on all over the world. We had to do some modifications to the way we work. We had to modify the way we do our social distancing within the army, which is quite challenging, I must say. We started using the masks. We are capsulating the units, and this is all at the beginning to start to understand what can we do. Of course, we went and we assisted the civilian sector. If it was first of all to support Magen David Adom, their calling center crashed, everybody started calling the calling center, and they couldn't give all the answers at the time. We right away went and we supported that center in order to give them the assistance that they need. We had more than 700 soldiers to assist the Israeli police department. If you remember at the beginning, we had lockdowns. We had to lock down the country in order to try and understand what is going on. So we assisted the police over there. The Home Front Command, which took great part and still is in the fight against the coronavirus, and of course, the aid and the support they give out to the civilian side. They've started handling hotels. We turned hotels into places where we can treat and where we can isolate people who are affected by the coronavirus. By the way, this is something that's still ongoing as we're speaking right now. We have these hotels that are located all over the country, and they're able to deal with people that either need isolation or people that have been affected by the virus, but not going into the hospital, so they can go to the hotel. If they're light, if their situation is not severe, they go to the hotel. And this is something that's still going on. The Home Front Command commanders and soldiers are deployed at all kinds of locations. One of the greatest things that we decided to bring with us is, of course, our capabilities. We have a lot of different and interesting capabilities that we've brought in order to fight the virus. One of them, for instance, is the unit called 81. This is a special intelligence unit that, with their tech and with their knowledge, we were able to create all kinds of applications. These applications were brought to the Ministry of Health, and they could have used it and they implemented it into their system. And this is where it gives them to understand where the virus is spreading, and they can also plan strategies against it. And this is something that we've created in less than a month. This application is up and going. And today, by the way, this application is already implemented into the different municipalities, the different cities, towns, villages as well. So we can command and control the spread of the virus. This is one of our capabilities that we've took. During the beginning, we had the problems with the respiration machines, and we figured out what we can do with it. Again, back to the tech unit, we took home grade respirations machines, and we've converted them to hospital grade machines. And this is something that we did also in less than a month and a half in order to help out with the need of these capabilities. We've modified vehicles, the different vehicles to transport 6 civilians and 6 soldiers. We brought the special vehicles and we've modified them. We are still using them very greatly. And at the end, Naval Commando Unit, Flotilla 13, brought a great idea with their possibility of aiding the hospital with oxygen gas masks and their oxygen supplies. They brought that as well in order to help to cope with this virus. So what is going on today? Today we're still with the Covid-19. It's still with us. It hasn't disappeared yet. But what we're doing right now is we have 2 recovery facilities for the IDF soldiers, and this is something that is together with the FIDF, by the way. Their installations, we put the soldiers there in order for them to recuperate and not to go to other places, and of course not to infect their families. So we have these installations. We have 27 working recovery and isolation hotels, which are located all over the country. We're the ones who are in charge of those hotels. We also do the transport from either the hospital or from someone's house. We go, we pick them up, they go to the hotel, and they stay at these hotels until they get, of course, better. We have the COVID-19 laboratory. We took a laboratory that didn't do COVID-19 tests, and we've modified it. We've changed it. We've changed the protocols of it. And this is something that took us 2 months. And this is something that's incredible. So we still use the COVID-19 laboratory today. We also have several test sites where any soldier can go and get tested and get the answers, usually between 24 to 48 hours. We also run the National Information Call Center. This is a joint operation of the military together with other government agencies. They all sit in one place and they all answer the calls and they give out the answers as it needs it and as it happens. And this is something that still goes on. And just recently, yesterday, they've decided to go with the COVID-19 task force, which is going to be led by the Home Front Command. They're going to be in charge of the whole logistics and also the investigations of the COVID-19 in order to verify who went where and why and what, so we can stop the chain of the sickness and actually get a control of that as well. This is going to be a task force that's going to be part of all the different communities in the country and is going to be run and led by the Home Front Command.
Liad, if I may, I had two questions with regard in regard to the topics that you just now brought up. So the one question is whether in the hotels, are they manned by Army doctors or civilian doctors?
Military. Well, actually, there aren't any doctors on stand there. They come by, but it's all run by soldiers from the Home Front Command. The doctors get all the information online because, as you probably know, because they're contagious, we cannot go and approach them. We use all kinds of computers and robots in order to get the information from the people that are inside. But it's run by the IDF, and they stay together with them in the hotel.
And the second question, thank you. And the second question is with regard to some of these other, like the support and logistics that you were just now talking about, that are being transitioned. So the question is whether these are becoming IDF operations, or is it that IDF soldiers are supplementing an existing civilian operation?
We're helping wherever we're needed. These are not just sole operations by the military. We are providing with our knowledge, with our capabilities to the different municipalities. So, for instance, if we take an event that occurred not so long ago, nearly 2.5, 3 months ago, take the town of Dir el-Assad, which is a Muslim town not so far away from Haifa, where we, during the time that were hit very badly by the COVID-19, and they were on lockdown, and soldiers from the Home Front Command, together with the civilians that live there, shoulder to shoulder, went door to door in order to provide with food and supplies to the families. And this is a joint operation. I mean, this is something that everybody is lending hand and everybody's helping out. This is not a sole mission of the military.
Thank you.
So just a bit of what's going on again today, and also how did things affect down in the south with Gaza and also Judea and Samaria. So here are some of the statistics. This is up to date to now, but we've done several things. If it's bringing knowledge, if it's doing joint training sessions with Israeli doctors and Palestinian doctors from Gaza, from Judea and Samaria, with materials that needed to go in, with testing kits going in, and really handling it very, very well, and still going on and giving aid to the folks over there. So if I can summarize it, the IDF is a second violinist, a very, very good violinist, but still second. This is of course, this is a national event. The IDF will keep on doing and aiding and supporting as much as needed from us. Of course, we will do it as much as we can and as much as we need. And of course, everything by direction from the government. But we have to bear in mind that still our mission is, of course, to protect the borders of Israel. We're still doing that to maintain a high operational readiness across all units. We're still doing that as well. And let me tell you, it's very, very challenging in the COVID-19 era. And of course, to assist with this crisis and give aid and support to whoever needs it inside in the country. Jonathan?
Thank you. So if I understand really, I mean, what the IDF is really sort of being called to task over here is really sort of a support. It's not that we're looking here at a militarization base or sort of military taking over, but it's more basically IDF sort of lending from its know-how and from its capabilities to sort of support civilian operations and supporting basically with the personnel.
That is correct. We are supporting the chain of logistics with supplies. If it's to go and aid, senior citizens' homes, to go and support them and to make sure that they're okay and they have everything that they need, so they don't need to go and risk themselves outside. If it's going to help, investigate the chain of sickness, to find out who delivered what to where, in order to stop that and to minimize as much as we can that circle in order to breach it. And altogether, of course, still continuing on our main mission, which is, of course, protecting the country, which is challenging nonetheless than the COVID-19.
Thank you. So, and another question over here is that the IDF has been very involved with humanitarian operations overseas. Has that been helpful in what you've been doing also over here?
So, of course, the expertise of the Homefront Command, and that's why they're leading this task force with all their knowledge from events from around the world. And of course, at the end, the ability for us today to come and aid and help the folks here in Israel is important. And it's really special what these guys and girls are doing, the soldiers everywhere, and you see them in different locations. And of course, their knowledge from events all over is actually brought here to the table. And this is something that's helping a lot. Absolutely.
Another question that came in over here, and I'm smiling because this might be a bit of a loaded one, but do you feel that there's been any kind of pushback from the government, or do you feel that really that they're giving you sort of the capabilities of and the freedom to do what can be done?
Well, Israel is a democratic country, and we're part of as being the one dressed in uniform and as representing the IDF. We work under the government. Whatever the government asks, tells, we will perform. And we're working, everybody here is working together. And it's working out outstanding jobs. Everybody is doing, all agencies.
And what about cooperation with the Palestinian authorities?
So on different levels, there are cooperations regarding the humanitarian aid. If it's at the beginning of the COVID-19, with information and knowledge and materials going in, either to Gaza and also to Judea and Samaria. On that level, it's happening and still going on.
Okay. And can you share with us any examples of sort of like unique cooperation in the domestic operations?
Again, I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question again, please?
If you can share any unique examples, any examples of sort of like unique cooperation in the field of local towns and villages across the country.
Oh, absolutely. I can share with you that myself, I took part in delivering food and supplies to all kinds of locations all over the country. If it's Jerusalem or up in the north, and we literally went to houses and knocked on doors, left the goods outside, and we started dealing with a new situation, things that we weren't trained for, delivering food, for instance. But we've done that, and we went to places where I met with a Holocaust survivor. She was on lockdown in her house, and we came and we gave the supplies and the rations that we needed. And one of her requests were to help her with the trash, to throw the trash. We got requests also to walk dogs, and that was quite an experience. But it was a very touching experience and very special to see the soldiers performing these kinds of missions. This is a very good chance for them to take part in something very, very special and unique. And at the end, to help, the civilians. And I think when we went into places like Bnei Brak, which is ultra-Orthodox, and they're not used to seeing soldiers performing these kinds of missions, and to get the ability to go into these places, to speak to the civilians, to show them other sides of the IDF soldiers is quite unique. And also when we went into other locations such as Dir el Assad in the north, or Khura down in the south, which is Arab towns and villages, and we worked together, shoulder to shoulder, performing everything together for the main purpose, and it's to save lives. And we did it. It was an outstanding experience and something very, very special and unique. And I know that it affected everybody, the soldiers, the civilians. It really affected everybody. It's something very, very special to see. Not every day you get a chance to see everybody wearing the same vests as we are. And that was very unique and very special. And I think that is one of the, if I could say a good thing in COVID-19, it really brought a lot of folks together.
Sure. Have you really, I mean, from your knowledge, is this unprecedented? There's a question over here whether the IDF has assumed any kind of similar domestic operation before.
Not to my knowledge. This pandemic is new to the world. Similar events that occurred, not to my knowledge, no.
Yes, I think arguably, I mean, obviously it's very different, but arguably the participation of the IDF with back in the early 50s with the immigration, with the mass immigration into Israel, there was a lot of participation by the IDF, but obviously that was very different circumstances, very different kind of cooperation. There's a question over here. There was a comment by the Major General about the IDF sharing expertise with other militaries in this regard. I mean, can you share any information about that?
Well, Israel and of course the IDF shares a lot of information with a lot of countries around the world. Of course, the IDF as well. We had several talks with other colleagues from all over the world, from European colleagues and American colleagues as well. We share information. We share a lot of the knowledge that we have. Again, everybody's trying to find ways to cope with this situation, and we're doing it together, of course, with our partners.
But do you see also similar types of involvement of other armies and other militaries in other countries, similar to what you've been talking about over here?
Not to my knowledge. I'm not aware of other operations conducted by other militaries now.
So this is what you've been talking about is pretty unique.
I don't know if it's unique. I don't know what other roles other militaries are portraying in their countries. I know here what's going on. I see what goes on here, and again, the IDF is a very unique military because at the end, it's the men and women from the country, and it's the boys and the girls from Israel that joined the army, and this is one of the best things, and this is its power. The IDF's power is the people who serve in it and do these great things are the people here.
Nice. Some other questions the questions have been popping up over here, just so you understand. So, and I know that from your perspective, some of these questions are sort of like coming totally left field. That it's not part of a prepared comment. So I appreciate you coming to respond. So, when you're delivering the support, is there any kind of distinction between recognized and unrecognized villages, or is it really you guys deliver the support regardless of who the recipient is?
We go everywhere, wherever we're needed. Recognized, not recognized, we go wherever we're needed. In this event, it's the motto is to save lives.
Okay. And a question over here is that the news is sort of showing a bit of a bleak picture about how things are evolving in Israel, and I think you've sort of really addressed some of that really with the plans, phase 2, etc. And what's your personal opinion? Are you optimistic, pessimistic of how things are going to evolve over the next few months?
Well, first of all, I'm always optimistic. And I think we should all be optimistic because we're in it together. And once we're in it together, I think it's much more powerful. And that is the most important thing, that we have each other. We have to hold hands together on it. We have to look further up the hill. It's going to be a rough one, but it's going to be something that will go together. And as long as we're together, we're stronger, and we will go over this. We'll get over this, and it'll turn out for the better.
So really, in this regard, there's a question over here really about displays of unity that Israel is very known for during a time of crisis. And I think, with the news that we're seeing from Israel, we're sort of seeing a mixture of that. There's a lot of displays of unity, a lot of displays of support, people rising to the occasion, the Army, IDF rising to the occasion. And on the other hand, though, we're also seeing a lot of discourse. And what's your assessment with regard to that?
Well, I can share that in regard to the unity. So I think the unity still exists. I'm not going to answer what is going on the political side of things. I'm in uniform and I'm representing the military, and I will not refer to those acts. I can tell you that what we saw when we distributed the foods and the goods, we were applauded by, and we applauded back if it's to the medical teams and other law enforcement agencies. And at the end, everybody understands the importance of the unity, especially at a time like this. And I think this is one of the greatest things that we're conducting now together, and we're showing it with the things that we do. We bring the people together, so it's great. Yeah,
and by the way, definitely, I wasn't expecting you to answer on the political. It was more actually the latter part of your answer that I was getting at, is that despite what we're hearing about the disunity, what I'm hearing you say, actually, to summarize it, is that on the ground, when push comes down to shove, you're getting sense of unity. People are basically rising to the occasion, despite whatever maybe political differences they have. But when people need the support, what I hear you say is it's there. People are not turning their backs on each other.
Absolutely not.
So, and I think we'll start wrapping this up soon, but and a question over here is, with regard to social distancing within the IDF, how is that enforced, and how is that involved in both, at both staff as well as also at the field levels, as well as also at senior homes, hospitals, things like that?
So in the IDF, we do our social distancing on every aspect. I mean, it could be from the General Chief of Staff down to the corporal in the field. We all social distance. We go through. We have these. We go through different trainings in order to teach the commanders what to do and how to do it. We learned very quickly the importance of wearing the mask and the social distancing and the high hygiene. We've capsulated ourselves, so different front units are capsulated actually since the beginning of COVID-19, and we do everything that we can in order to protect the lives of the soldiers and, of course, their health, especially in this pandemic. We go through trainings, we have the knowledge, and we just live by it. I mean, we've cut down the numbers of people where they sleep together. We've cut down the numbers of people eating together. We eat in small numbers, or we sleep at different locations in small numbers, and this is all part of the distancing that's going on.
But is and are the soldiers themselves and the field soldiers, are they on total lockdown, or do they manage basic? No. Okay.
No, they're not on total lockdown. Every 21 days they go home, and this is again in order to protect them and also protect their families. At the end, when he goes home, we don't want him to affect his family. So that's why every 21 days, the soldiers from front units go home. And yeah, very challenging, but we're up to the mission. We're doing it well.
It definitely, and really, just to sort of summarize this, you've got, I mean, among also all the questions, there's also been quite a few comments basically of applaud to the IDF, what they're doing, and thanking you very much. I mean, I think really what we're seeing over here, the level of cooperation, it's not a question of the militarization of the military sort of taking over, but rather that of the military stepping up basically to help and support and lend from its expertise is really noteworthy, and hopefully many other governments and armies will learn this. I mean, I think this is really one of the more unique aspects, one of the really unique aspects of the IDF. I mean, it's always been considered to be the army of the people, and I think this is really a good example showing of that type of cooperation. But with that, I just wanted to thank you, Liad, thank you very much for taking your time. I know that you guys are very extremely busy, not just with so many things, and so
pleasure. Thank you so much
taking the time. We will, as I indicated before, this is the first of a series that will spread out over the on a monthly basis of different webinars that we're going to be doing in cooperation. And next month we have planned a webinar that is going to be talking about military leadership of women in the army, in both the Israeli army as well as also in the U.S. Army. We've got some very some people who have achieved the highest ranks in both armies, women from females who have achieved the highest rank in both armies, basically coming to participate in this. And this is really just one of, this is part of our series, basically, of our of our webinars that we're doing, please do join us. I mean, we've got here a lot of activity. We're doing 2 webinars a week that are designed basically to both educate, inform, as well as also some social and some mental relief, some education, cultural, as well as also some, we've also have a wonderful program for the summer that for tweens. So basically, so please do follow us on our website and on our social media, and we hope that we will see you in our future webinars and our future activities. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.